But what's going to happen if the Iran-U.S. deal actually goes through?
I think the main implication is it was extremely challenging to get to this ceasefire. Maintaining it is going to be even more challenging, which means the uncertainty remains quite high. This is reflected in the actions of physical players. Nobody's changing their behavior on it. I think that is really the important conclusion here. Whether it's Maersk or Mitsui, they're not going to bring ships in there because it may create a near-term solution because you're going to flush all that oil that's trapped in the Gulf out. But the longer term, and by the way, it's about 60 million barrels. It'll cover 10 days of inventory. But after that, you really have to question what is the long-term solution here, and nobody right now has an answer for that.
So are you telling me that actually the price of oil fell too much? Or is it too optimistic?
By the way, I think it's falling for real reasons, and the real reasons is that people are destocking. The uncertainty, whether it's financial positions, people go, I can't hold risk in this market anymore. It's the policy uncertainty is too high, and as a result, open interest is collapsing in the overall positions. If you look at VAR, value at risk, that's in the oil market today, we're dropping to some of the lowest levels seen, which means people aren't holding positions. But it's not just the financial guys. The physical people are doing the same. Did you see the German heating oil numbers? They're not restocking. They're not restocking because they believe the uncertainty is going to lead to a lower price tomorrow. Why am I in this market today? I can buy cheaper tomorrow.
Okay, so I mean, you touched on this. First of all, how quickly will flows through the Strait of Hormuz return to normal? Do we have an answer for that?
The answer is it's going to take months and not until the end of the year. Let's say the ceasefire, it works as planned on Friday. It would be probably by the end of the year you could even begin to talk about a resumption to normality. Yeah. And the idea, though, is you'd have that flush of the 60 million barrels that are caught inside come out. Maybe it's 60-plus million barrels. And if you're drawing on average 6 million barrels per day right now, that means you would cover 6 days or 10 days of inventory draws. After that, you still have the other problem. So before we can answer anything, you got to answer, how do you get the ships to want to go back into the Gulf? We have not answered that problem yet. So again, I say it's a near-term solution as you flush it, but longer term you don't have a problem.
So how quickly then can Gulf producers actually restore productions?
The Saudi can do it the quickest because they recycle their oil, their fields at a very high frequency. They can do it almost like that. The Emiratis can do it rather quickly. When you get to Kuwait, Iraq, Bahrain, Qatar, we're talking months, if not years. Like Qatar, like the LNG facility. I mean, you took a big hit. Yeah. So all of this is going to take months to recover. And people say we've never seen this before. Hey, wait, yes, we saw it in COVID. Remember, you shut 10 million barrels per day of production. The U.S. it took 2 to 3 years to get back to normal, and it took many of these countries years to get back to normal.
Yeah, but logistically, this is different, right? I mean, have we ever seen a case in point like this?
Were you shut wells?
Attacks? Well, were you shut because they've been attacked?
Oh,
so
yes. Take the Iranian Revolution in 79. You shut those wells immediately. Well, we've seen this over and over. People go, oh, well, these were all different. We don't know if they're different or not. All we do know is when you shut them, you don't turn them back on immediately. And the most recent example using modern technology was COVID. Right. You shut them for the same reason.
But these are shut and damaged, or just shut?
They're shut, but you damage them. Think about COVID. You shut those relatively, in a very similar type of fashion, and it took a very long time to get them back up and running again because you got to restore pressure. Some of them have to be re-drilled. In fact, yesterday you look at the drillers rallied. Why? Because you're going to have to go back in there and re-drill those wells. But I think another important point here is the markets are treating this very differently than the way the physical markets are, or the operators are treating it. The financial markets are saying this is a done deal.
And how long? And you've touched on this, but when you look at the lost inventories, how far away are we from replenishing those? It just feels like there's market hope that it can be done like this.
Oh no, it can't be.
But we're talking this is months.
We're talking a billion plus a billion barrels of oil that has already been lost that needs to be replenished. Some of it in strategic reserves, some of it in commercial inventories. You got to restart all of this. Again, go back to look at where we have tertiary inventories. Tertiary inventories are not the ones held by the wholesalers or the big producers. They're the ones held by consumers. That's what tertiary means. The German heating oil stocks, where we can see what people hold in their own tanks. I challenge everybody to go look at a picture of that. They keep going down. Why? Because those consumers think they're going to buy heating oil tomorrow at a cheaper price, and they keep delaying that. Whether it's people driving, doing, in fact, I think it was Walmart or Costco in the U.S. said they're buying 10 gallons less than what they were before on each purchase. Why? Because they're running their stocks down on their cars, waiting for the drop in price. So we have this destocking going on across the world right now because everybody anticipates, hey, we're going to get lower prices, then I'm going to buy, which means there's pent-up demand. It's the opposite here. Then, there was no precautionary inventories held. There was at the beginning. That's what ran us up to, let's say, 110, 120. But now we're doing the opposite. We're draining those precautionary inventories, expecting the supply to come.
Okay, jet fuel. I mean, because I'm going to get calls from like sisters and family saying, can people still go on holiday? This was the big concern a couple of weeks. I don't see much having been changed.
No, nothing has. Nothing. I mean, if you really think about, like in Europe, where they go, oh, we got so much comfort. They got comfort because they were getting this all from the U.S. Because the U.S. was exporting 2 million barrels per day more since it started, with most of it going to Europe, but all of that coming out of storage. It was never a sustainable solution to begin with.
Do you worry about the summer?
I'm worrying about all of these markets. We're going to get a reprieve, and I think the market's already tried to price that in, of that flush out, assuming we get a signed deal on Friday, you'd flush that. And by the way, of that leakage that's happened, it was roughly about 120, maybe some people put it 150 million barrels. 40% of that leaked out. That's where you get to these numbers.